Okay, so some people have been tricked into taking a different path. So inducted, led in by this information, this affirmation, the barbarians by the lower road, which was very circuitous, they led their army. And while the more diffuse riverbanks, the more spread out, and because of this, there's more work, they joined these two riverbanks with a bridge. I'll take that S out of that. And they strove with all their instruments, and it's impended or took out in time 40 days more. So he got some distance, and in this space of time, quo spatio, Ventidius, during this space, he used it to contract all his forces, and with them, in a 3-day period before the Parthians arrived, these people, he received them when these battle lines was fully drawn up, and he committed to a battle, and he conquered the Pacorum, and he killed him. Mithridates, when he was circumvalent at Pompeii, he's built ramparts around him, encircled him. He was striving for flight in the next day. He was thinking of it anyway. For the sake of obscuring this plan of his, rather wide and all the way up to the ramparts of the enemy, his pabuladas, his foragers, they were applied up to the wall, the ramparts, and also a colloquia. He arranged to have a meeting or conversations with many of these people for the sake of averting suspicion. He had decided this or arranged it for posturum the next day, and even more frequent fires he ordered to be built through the whole castra, through the whole camp. Then, in the second vigil, second watch, besides or past the camp of the enemies, he eduxed, led out his column of men, his agmen. The emperor, Caesar Domitianus Augustus Germanicus, when the Germans, who were in arms, he wanted to crush, neither was he ignorant that they would enter into a bigger war with their building up of supplies and arms. If the arrival of such a outstanding leader was coming, which would be himself, he covered up his setting out with a census of the Gauls. You want to put it in English, it's pretty much genitives. Okay, Lewis and Short, obtego, to cover up, some synonyms there, with a genitive, like Tacitus used. That's what he's done here. He's used, covered up his setting out with a census, under which census, with an unexpected war, he effuses, he contused or broke the ferocity of these hostile nations, and he consoled things with the province, or did things for the good of the province. Okay, effusus just means poured out, so he poured out his forces. Claudius Nero, when from the Roman Republic, the Republic, Hasdrubal and his forces, before they could join up to his brother Hannibal, he was wanting, I guess here, there's a main verb, wanted to excite or kill or wipe out these forces, and for this reason he hastened himself to his colleague Livius Salvatore, to whom the war had been mandated. He had least confidence in his own people who were under him. Here we go. He wants to join his colleague here in the dative. Nevertheless, he was not wanting to be sensed by Hannibal, his leaving, to who was opposite him. And 10,000 of the greatest soldiers he chose, and he gave instructions to the legates who he was leaving behind, that the same stations and watches and vigils they should they should conduct themselves, and the same amount of fires should be burning, and the same face of the camp they should preserve or keep the same appearance, lest something Hannibal would suspect and dare against such a paucity of the people left behind attack. Cum, when then in Umbria, with secret journey or secret marches, he joined himself to his colleague. He forbade or vetoed the camp to be amplified or made bigger, lest some neuter signal of his arrival be given to the Carthaginian, and he would detract himself from battle. He wouldn't go into battle if he knew there was more people there. If the combined strengths of the consuls, if he understood them to be joined. Therefore, the Inscaeum, the unknowing Carthaginian, he supervillated him. He overcome him. He had attacked with duplicate or two forces, and attacked and overcome the unknowing person. And more quickly than ablatives used for then, sometimes quam, if you kept the same case, more quicker than all messengers could, he returned to Hannibal, whom he was opposite earlier, so the two camps near each other. And thus, from two of the most callous or cunning leaders of the Carthaginians, by the same plan, he hid himself from one and he oppressed and crushed the other. Themistocles, exhorting his people to suscitandos some walls, to take up some walls, build walls rather quickly, festinanta, which by order of the Lacedaemonians, the Spartans, they had cast down. To the legates of the Spartans, who had been sent, who were interpellating, he responded that himself would come to wash away this extistimitation, their suspicion. Okay, so they'd pulled down their walls and they wanted to build other ones. Spartans were complaining, so he said he'd go there anyway. So he reached Sparta, prevented it. There, simulating a sickness, he drew out something of time, a period of time. And after he understood that his tergiversation was suspect, his little cunning plan, he contended that a false rumour had been alerted or taken to them. And he asked, usually with an ut, but frontinus doesn't use ut, just goes into the subjunctive imperfect, that they should send some people from their leading citizens to who they would believe concerning the fortifications of the Athenians.